As I'm sure you know, tomorrow the House Appropriations Budget Committee is scheduled to take up the bill for the funding of the Indian Cultural Center. Yesterday I received important information regarding this funding, and I felt it was so significant that a press conference was in order. For many years now, the center has been an issue before the legislature. Just yesterday, Governor Fallin and Chickasaw Tribal Governor Bill Anatubby came to the Republican caucus to discuss why the legislature needed to pass a bill to appropriate funds that would match private donations and that would finally complete the center. Unfortunately, we've heard this before. Several years ago, the legislature was lobbied on behalf of finishing the center and gave $25 million of taxpayer funds under the condition that no more money would ever be asked for. That has proven to be far less than truthful. I expressed to the governor that my main concern was the lack of disclosure with regards to the alleged $40 million of funds that would be released if only the legislature would match that amount. The members of the House are being asked to vote for matching funds when we have never seen the source of the so-called private donations. In fact, there was even a question of whether they were truly donations or simply pledges. Governor Fallin agreed that she would see if the list of donors could be made available. Yesterday afternoon, during the legislative session, a representative told me that the list had been obtained. I was allowed to view the list, and it confirmed my fears. I asked to make a copy of the list, but was told permission was only given for me to view the list. I did not ask the legislator who was responsible for providing the list to him, while not giving it to myself and the other members of the legislature. I did not ask the legislature who was responsible for giving him the list, while they didn't provide it to other members of the legislature, because it was more important to me to see the contents of the list. I'm disturbed by what I saw on the list. Oklahoma citizens and lawmakers have been consistently misled, in my opinion, about the source of private matching funds by Blake Wade, tribal leaders, and even the governor, if they are aware of the contents of the list. The legislature and the citizens of Oklahoma have been repeatedly told there were private funds available if the legislature, i.e. the citizens of Oklahoma, would just step up and match those private funds. I suppose if President Clinton can equivocate on what the definition of the word is means, then others can take the same liberty with the meaning of the word private. I was astounded to see a commitment of $13 million from the city of Oklahoma City and an additional $3 million from Oklahoma County. No reasonable person could consider $16 million from Oklahoma City and Oklahoma County as private funds. That money comes from taxpayers. Legislators are being scammed into providing taxpayer funds for special interest groups that would benefit very few people. Potentially, another $8 to $10 million would be removed from the public coffers if the remaining contributions are considered tax deductible at the federal and state levels, meaning the so-called private pledges are worth as little as $14 million of the total $80 million. This doesn't even take into consideration generally that pledges are honored at less than 50 cents on the dollar. I've also been informed that the supposed commitment by Oklahoma County was for dirt work on the site, and the district attorney apparently decided that was not a legal use of taxpayer dollars. I've been able to confirm that an apparent commitment by Oklahoma City of $8 million, not $13 million, may have also been committed, but keep in mind, again, those are not private dollars. As a tax-paying citizen of the city and state, it is unforgivable that we've been deceived for the last several years. Today, I'd call on my colleagues in the House to see through this scheme and vote the bill down. Some have tried to say that the state auditor has given the Cultural Center his blessing. Nothing could be further from the truth. Most agree the audit of the center simply showed there was no substantial misstatements with regards to the financial statement of the center. One of the questions that has been asked is why we should do the center. Once we move past the phase that says there's nothing we can do but waste more taxpayer dollars, then a discussion can start. There seems to be broad agreement that the first step is to eliminate the current position held by Blake Wade, head of the center. This will immediately reduce the state's losses that the center is inflicting on the state budget and eliminate the #1 taxpayer-funded lobbyist for this failed project. The bill specifically passed by the Senate provides one-time funding of $40 million out of the state's Unclaimed Property Fund, money which should be returned to its rightful owners. I listened just this morning to an advertisement on the radio by the state treasurer, explaining how 1 out of 4 individuals in the state of Oklahoma have money in the fund. Perhaps he should concentrate more on returning the money to its rightful owners and less on the concerns of his very wealthy campaign contributors who are supporting this center. As a matter of fact, I believe a careful examination of all the people making pledges on the list would show a significant correlation to other legislators that have been highly vocal in their support of this waste of taxpayer dollars.